Hello, Radiant Ray of Light, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Veronica Virgo. I'm so glad to have you here today because today we're going to be talking about how to deal with bullies and controlling or manipulative people as a sensitive or empathic person. So if you are somebody who feels like you really pick up on the emotions of the people around you and you absorb a lot of energy from your environment, you may find it extra challenging to deal with people who are very controlling or aggressive in their behavior, or just have a more domineering personality types, right? Because you're feeling all of that, and because it is emotionally painful for you, you are going to want to alleviate that stress on yourself, alleviate that pain, and that will bring you to compromising with this person a lot. However, if you find yourself over compromising with this person, engaged in chronic people pleasing, or just withdrawing from this person completely and it's starting to affect your life, then I'm just here to reassure you that you have the power inside you to be spiritually strong and to deal with the situation in a compassionate way that actually doesn't involve you becoming aggressive or controlling like this person. You can actually act from a place of spiritual integrity and compassion when dealing with people like this, and it will actually completely bring you and this person out of this authority and victim kind of dynamic. So whether it is a family member, a colleague, a partner, just somebody that you're dealing with in your life that you are finding a very challenging personality to deal with and who you find you have trouble speaking your truth against, as they can be very controlling. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to get into how to be able to tell if you are being affected by a controlling person, as it's not always super obvious from the outside, although internally you may be feeling a lot of turmoil due to this relationship. And after we talk about how to be able to tell, I'm going to get into the 10 ways to deal with a controlling person, or really 10 pieces of advice that if you take into account and utilize in your life, this person will have zero control over you. You certainly won't feel as negatively impacted by them, and you will be able to call back your power and be able to feel and experience positive emotions again, and really just be able to stand in your power with this person, speak your truth, and really not let them have an effect over you anymore. If you want to see the title of the 10 different ways and jump ahead to any part that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and look in the description box below and you will be able to view the different chapters there. So now let's get into how to be able to tell if you are being affected by a controlling person in your life. Like I said, this can happen in any area of your life, whether it be a colleague, a romantic partner, a friend, or even a family member or someone that you live with potentially. So first things first, follow your feelings. If you feel that someone is controlling you or there is something off in a relationship with somebody, never disregard that, because sometimes our intuition is trying to tell us something and we kind of think and logic our way out of it. So the first thing I will say in terms of being able to tell if you are involved in a controlling relationship is to go with your gut. You will notice that these relationships tend to be really fear-based, and fear is how this person maintains control over you. So when you are interacting with people, pay attention to your gut and how your body is feeling. Your nervous system will usually give you red flags as to how safe you feel around this person. So this is just something to be mindful of in life and in all relationships. When you are spending time with somebody, pay attention to how your nervous system feels. How does your body feel? Are you, clenched? Is your body language closed in? Do you feel nervous or uncomfortable? Or do you feel, safe, like you could just sprawl out and be yourself and you feel very at ease around this person? So pay attention to your gut feelings, your nervous system, and what is your body doing around this person, okay? And certainly how safe you are feeling. Another thing to keep in mind is their love for you unconditional? Now, of course, this is going to change with certain relationships and dynamics. For example, you could have a very controlling and manipulative boss, but at the end of the day, your boss is not expected to have unconditional love for you. There are conditions in a workplace. However, that does not mean that they should be controlling or manipulating your emotions. So definitely still keep this in mind. But in terms of like romantic partnerships or even family members or friends, unconditional love is something that we aren't really taught growing up all the time, at least not all of us. Unconditional love really means that you love this person for who they are. You don't want to change anything about them. And that's not to say that they're not a flawed person in some way. It's just that you recognize that that is their journey, that those are their lessons, and you aren't trying to, change them in any way, shape, or form. Another thing to keep in mind and be able to tell if someone is being controlling towards you is how unconditional is their love for you? How much do they want you to change the way that you are or things about you in order to actually give you love in exchange? Another way to be able to tell if you are being affected by a controlling person is, are you beginning to dread being around them? Do you want to withdraw? And oftentimes when we are involved in some type of power over dynamic where somebody is controlling us, we begin to withdraw in general. So we just don't want to be around people. We start to feel unsafe around, not just that relationship, but other relationships. And we can even start to feel feelings of just being depressed, wanting to withdraw and not engage. And really just that key telltale sign I would say to look out for is just dreading being around this person or wanting to withdraw away from them. Another thing to keep in mind in a relationship you may suspect may have controlling underlying tendencies in it is this person will raise a lot of questioning and doubt within you. So if there's a relationship in your life that is constantly making you question and doubt yourself and really just question your version of things or your reality, and you start to just feel kind of confused and crazy, like, am I crazy? Like, is this person right? And you really start to doubt yourself. If that is happening a lot in a relationship, then that can also be a sign that this person is really trying to control you. The final and perhaps one of the most distinct and important signs of a controlling relationship is that this person is draining your energy even when you're not physically around them. So even when you withdraw and you're not around this person, you still feel like they are draining your energy and consuming your thoughts and really bringing out a lot of negative feelings in you. So those are just some ways that you can tell if a relationship in your life is controlling or you're being bullied or manipulated by someone in your life. Certainly there are more ways than just that, and I really would invite you to trust your gut, trust your feelings, even if you can't logically explain them, because at least once you begin to trust your gut, you can then have that as a jumping off point to then begin to unpack what is really happening in the dynamic of this relationship. So now we are going to get into the 10 ways to deal with a controlling personality or just a bully or manipulative person, especially if you find yourself to be an empathic or sensitive person yourself. This is the most important thing. So if you only watch one part of this video, I would really encourage you to watch way, which is way number 1, which is know your truth. Okay? This is so important because this is where you're going to draw all of your strength from. So this person you're dealing with who has a very controlling personality draws their strength from their external environment and needs a lot of external validation to feel safe in their world. So what you are going to do is you're going to know your story from the inside, and you are going to begin to draw strength from inside of yourself rather than from people or external circumstances in your environment. This person is going to try and convince you of their truth or their beliefs about you and really try and shift your reality to match the one that they are feeding you in order to control you. So it is very important that before you engage with this person, you take some time and just spend some time with yourself to figure out what is my truth. So I will give you an example, and this is just an example. It doesn't have to apply to you, but I really want to illustrate what knowing your truth truth is here. For example, if you know that you're a very thoughtful, caring, compassionate person, let's say this is a romantic relationship. So let's say there's a lot of things that you do that are very thoughtful and caring for your partner. Let's say you make them breakfast every morning, you ask them about their day, you give them a lot of physical affection. Just, you know that you are very caring and thoughtful when it comes to things. Maybe you even consider them and their feelings when you make big decisions, etc. But let's say this person is the person you suspect is controlling in your life. Let's say they are continuously telling you that you're selfish. Okay, they're like, you're selfish, you're a selfish person, or maybe it's more insidious than that. Maybe they're not directly telling you you're selfish, but they're just making little comments here and there about how you could, pay more attention and be more careful, and why don't you ever think about me and my feelings? So they're kind of having a reality that you're a selfish person or you're not thoughtful. So for example, knowing your truth would be, thinking of all the different ways in which you know that you are thoughtful and caring and considerate when it comes to this person. And you don't need to believe their story at that point, because you know your story in your own heart. You know that you operate from a place of integrity with this person and that you are constantly considering their feelings. So now you know your truth and you are drawing strength from within yourself. When you go to interact with this person, if they make a comment, you are way less likely to be triggered now, because you know that you're thoughtful, considerate, and caring, right? And they can't really shift your truth into theirs. So that is way number one, know your truth, very important. Now we are going to move on to way number two, to deal with a controlling or manipulative personality. Way number two is don't fight back externally. So you may be thinking right now, I thought you told me to stand in my power, to know my truth. What do you mean don't fight back? What I mean is that this person maintains control over you so long as they can throw off your emotions and throw off your balance and keep you off center. So what I mean by that is don't engage in external conflict with this person, because like I said, you may come from a place of integrity and you may actually want to come to a conclusion and a resolution with this person when it pertains to certain arguments that you're having with them. It is really important to recognize that they may just be bringing up these conflicts, not to actually come to a place of resolution, but solely to maintain control over your feelings so that they can manipulate you into acting in ways that make them feel safe and comfortable, rather than allowing you to live as an authentic expression of who you are. So this person is looking for a rise out of you, as this is an indicator to them that they are still maintaining control over you and your emotions. So they are going to know which buttons to press and which things to say to trigger you, because they have probably been learning about you through your relationship and finding out what your insecurities are, especially if you are an empathic and open person, because you will probably have been very truthful and honest and shared with this person from a place of trust, what makes you feel insecure. So let's say, for example, say your hair is something that you're very insecure about. This person will know that as you were honest with them and you trusted them and shared that with them. Well, now this may be something that they will bring up if they find that you're not being, emotionally reactive towards them, and they might resort to that place of then bringing up your hair, because they know that it's a wound that you haven't healed from just yet, and they know that they're going to be just poking at that wound. And when somebody pokes at a wound that we haven't healed yet and dealt with and resolved within ourselves, we get triggered. We go into survival mode, and then we aren't able to operate from that place of integrity, right? So if you're doing part one and you're knowing your truth, you can know your truth when it comes to these trigger points. That way, in the second part, when this person wants you to react emotionally in order to maintain control, you can then let go and maintain your peace and come from that internal place of strength and integrity when they're bringing up those trigger points for you. If you stay in your own energy it makes it almost impossible for this person to control you, because they are going to notice that no matter what they're saying and all the tactics that they're trying, you are just cool, calm, and collected. And this has to be genuine to a certain extent. Obviously, dealing with someone like this is very challenging, so I'm not suggesting that it is going to be easy by any means, but you are strong and you can do it. I have complete faith in you. No matter how emotional or sensitive you consider yourself a person to be, you are way stronger than you know, and you can 100% do this, okay? Just picture me cheering you on, because I know that you can. When you spend time around this person, when I say stay in your own energy, one, I mean, even if this person is feeling very reactive emotions such as anger, sadness, etc., and they're trying to use those emotions to draw you in and make you feel those emotions too, because that is where they can begin to manipulate you. Although you may feel the pull, there's going to be this point where you feel that pull and you disengage. You just choose not to engage, because you know your own story from within and you're not going to operate on that story that they're trying to pull you into. So maintaining your cool in this type of situation with this person, really, you know, putting in that effort to trigger you. It's not about faking it until you make it. It's not about pretending you're calm when this person is really bothering you. It is about remembering your truth and feeling empowered in knowing that that is your truth, regardless of what this person is saying. And when you do that, nothing that this person is saying will have an effect over you. So that is exactly how you are going to take back your power in that situation. And this person who once seemed so maybe big and scary because in the past you could have allowed them to, you know, control you through this type of behavior, you are going to notice them shrinking down in terms of their effect on you, because now when they're saying all this, you're going to be hearing it as a false story that someone is using to manipulate you rather than the truth. Alrighty, so now we are going to get into way number 3. The third way to deal with a controlling or manipulative personality is their emotions are not your responsibility. Now, if you do consider yourself an empathic person, and it is quite easy for you to pick up on the emotions of other people, sometimes you may feel responsible for alleviating uncomfortable emotions or tension. For example, if someone is around you and you can feel that they are angry, tense, or upset in some way, especially if there's someone you care about, you may feel responsible for alleviating that tension. However, I am here to tell you that you are off the hook. It is not your responsibility. And although it may be unsettling in some way, I urge you to start to become comfortable in the discomfort, which sounds like an oxymoron, but the more you shy away from the discomfort and do everything you can to alleviate it, the more you're going to be actually taking away the opportunity for that person to learn emotional regulation, because now you are doing it for them all the time, and the more you're going to find yourself drained because you just simply can't be responsible for all of the emotions of the people around you. Also, if you are a very deeply feeling person as an empath, you may take things on as your responsibility, as you come from a place of you're a very honorable person and you want to be responsible and do the right thing. But I'm here to tell you that it is not your fault that this person is feeling a certain way. Even if something you do contributed to this person's emotions, their emotions are still their responsibility to regulate. So that is way number 3. Okay, now we're going to get into way number 4. So way number 4 is be aware of psychic attack and gaslighting. So a psychic attack is when somebody is able to put you into a place of fear even when you're not necessarily around them, because they've gotten into your head, they've gotten into your thoughts. Let's go back to the example that I used in the beginning of somebody trying to convince you that you are a selfish or uncaring person when you know that that's not true. A psychic attack, for example, would be their reality or the reality that they're trying to get you to believe is going to be that you are selfish and uncaring, right? So psychic attack, an example of that in this situation would be the thoughts popping into your head of, I'm a selfish person, or if I do this, then it means I'm a selfish person, and really just giving away your power through your thoughts to this person's reality. One thing I want to remind you of is that you are not your thoughts, and I invite you to try and think of your thoughts as a passing train. So you have a thought, and instead of becoming attached to it and believing it and adopting it, maybe just witness it as a train going by and then let it leave when it's over, rather than, attaching emotions to it and adopting it as a belief about yourself. Be aware of your thoughts, because their thoughts and ideas could be getting into your head in terms of the way that you see yourself. Also, gaslighting is when somebody convinces us that our reality or truth of a situation is not real and causes us to feel really confused about what our own reality is. And if you're suffering from this, just know that there is a way forward and clarity is here for you. Go back to step one, know your truth, and be able to reiterate that truth to this person. So way number 5 is how this person maintains control. For you to be mindful of how they maintain control, that way you can know what's happening and have a better perspective of the dynamics that are taking place. So the first thing that this person will do to maintain control in the relationship is to convince you that they know what's best for you in some way, shape, or form more than you know what's best for yourself. There certainly is a difference between somebody giving you advice from a place of love and being okay whether you choose to take it or not, and accepting the fact that we all have our own journey and path to follow. There's a difference between that and between somebody not being okay with you not operating in a way that they want you to. So the first thing they will do is convince you that your way is not the right way. And this could go from something as small to your daily routine to something as big as your life path and what you're choosing for yourself. The second thing that they will do to try and maintain control, and I did touch on this a bit earlier, is they will plant seeds of doubt with critical or attacking comments. And sometimes these aren't as obvious, like, for example, your hair looks awful today. That's a pretty aggressive, confrontational, direct way of planting a seed of doubt with a person, right? But another way of planting a seed of doubt could be less obvious or just more subtle. So for example, let's say you're out with this person and you guys went for an ice cream cone and you're sitting there enjoying your ice cream, and picture this as a romantic partner. So they have their arm around you and they're giving you a kiss. Their actions are very loving. But then they make a comment about somebody else who isn't you. Let's say that someone is walking down the street wearing stilettos, okay? And that is something you do, not every day, but it is something that you do and you enjoy sometimes. So this person may say, oh, I can't stand seeing people wearing stilettos. It's just so phony, and whatever. They're gonna just say something negative about that person wearing stilettos. So this isn't directly aimed at you, but it's something that they know that you do quite frequently, and it's gonna plant that seed of doubt in your head. It's going to create a psychic attack so that next time you go and wear stilettos, you're gonna think, oh, this person doesn't like it. Know your truth at this point. Whether they like it or not, you like it, and it doesn't matter, okay? So you should still be able to wear those stilettos, for example. But this person will maintain control if you don't know your truth and you then stop wearing stilettos because you know that it's something that they don't like. Another way that has a less to do with physical appearance is, for example, it could be a quality or characteristic about your personality. So let's say that you guys watched a show together last night and somebody in the show is a very outspoken person, okay? Let's say they share their opinions a lot. This person may then say to you the next day, oh, don't you feel like that character is crazy? They seem like they have some mental illness. Nobody in their right mind would be that opinionated of a person. Okay, once again, just an example, but this is a way that they're trying to kind of get into your thoughts and bring on a psychic attack so that you then are controlled by that, because then now you no longer want to be opinionated because this person is convincing you that it indicates mental illness or something like that. The third way that this person may try to maintain control over you is through their emotions. So through anger, through just sulking, and just displaying that they're basically unhappy emotionally with you or your actions or something that you're doing. Remember what I said earlier, don't engage. You don't need to meet them in that place, and their emotions are their responsibility. Way number 6 is surround yourself with supportive people and or communities. So just because you have one person in your life that is being controlling towards you, and you never know, this may be somebody that you have to deal with. And of course you have sovereignty and you can choose to walk away from this type of relationship, and we'll get into that a bit later. But sometimes that isn't always available right away. Sometimes you may not have a choice. For example, if you live with this person or if they're in your working situation and you can't just quit for financial reasons, you may still have to deal with this person. So in those circumstances that you do, it is very important to surround yourself with other relationships that are supportive. So indications of supportive relationships are that this person accepts you for who you are. They don't want to change things about you. Yes, they may offer advice for you to follow, but whether you choose to follow the advice or not, they're not going to retract their love from you or their attention towards you based on whether you choose to do things their way or not. You would feel safe around this person. You would feel like you can be your authentic self. Your body would feel calm and at ease. It's usually pretty easy to tell when someone is supportive of you because you feel very safe around them. You feel like you can be yourself and you feel like they don't judge you for who you are. And like I said, your body also probably feels pretty calm and at ease around them. And there's somebody who you probably also enjoy spending time with and feel grateful for having in your life. So very important when dealing with a controlling or manipulative personality is to surround yourself with people or communities who are supportive. Way number 7 to deal with a controlling or manipulative personality is not to engage energetically in this power over, power under role. So this person is trying to maintain authority over you in their life, which requires you to be a victim. Don't be a victim. Obviously, it is easier said than done. And like I said, all situations and circumstances are unique. However, if you are not meeting them in an emotionally reactive place, if you are staying in your truth, if you have other relationships in your life that are supportive, and if you mentally are steering clear from adopting their views and beliefs about you as your own, and you are protected from that psychic attack by letting those thoughts pass by like a train and not becoming attached to them, then you're not a victim to the tactics that they are trying to use to control you. So this is all about leaving that victim mentality and calling back your own power and control by not energetically engaging in that power over dynamic. Because in order for them to have power over, you would have to stay under. But if you are no longer staying under, then there is nothing for them to have power over. Alrighty, so now we are going to get into way number 8. The 8th way that you can deal with a controlling or manipulative personality. Be mindful of who you share yourself with, of who you open your energy to, of who you let your guard and walls down with. If you're somebody who has been betrayed by people in the past or taken advantage of, or many people have acted controlling and manipulative towards you, it can build up a lot of walls and layers, and you can find people very untrusting and go in the opposite direction where you're not trusting anybody because you feel that people overall are just unsafe now. But we want to be in that middle place where we aren't completely open and vulnerable with everybody that we come into contact with. We also don't want to be in that other extreme place where we are never letting our guard or wall down, even with the people close in our life who we should feel safe with to let that wall down. So we want to come into this middle place, which is to be mindful of who you share yourself with. Find out who it is safe with to share your genuine, authentic self with. So I'm going to use an example here. Let's say that your grandmother knitted a blanket and it was passed down, or let's say your great grandmother knitted a blanket that was passed down from your great grandmother to your grandmother to your mother and now to you. That blanket is very sacred and precious because it comes from your line and it has existed for a long time, and there's a lot of energy of love and nurture around that blanket, and it is very, very special. It is actually priceless because you really couldn't replace it even with another blanket that's very expensive. Think about that as you. Okay, you are not going to treat that blanket badly by lending it to somebody who you know is very careless with their objects and will, dirty it or snag it on something so that it rips, or just treat it without the proper love and care that it deserves and that should be had with regards to it. Also, you aren't gonna probably just keep that blanket in a box in the closet and never use it, because what's the point then, right? Then it's just like something in a museum and it's not actually getting the opportunity to be loved. And you know that your mom and your grandma, you remember seeing them curled up on the couch all cozy with that blanket, and you know that it's something that should be used sometimes. So bringing this back to you, you are sacred and precious, and so is your energy. So be mindful, who are the people that you can let your guard down with, who you can cry on their shoulder and they will be supportive of you and your path and not try to control you, and really empower you in your choices and help to say, what do you want? I support you in what it is that you want to do. And who are the people who if you open yourself up to and say these things, they may then use that information to try and control you, or they may put you down or not be supportive of your goals, right? So I would say number 8 could also even be called discernment, okay? So just flexing that muscle of discernment with the people in your life and really recognizing and being aware of who to have walls with, who not to have walls with, and how many to have. There are certain people who you would need mental, spiritual, emotional, and maybe even physical protection away from, because you know that they are just extremely toxic to you in your life. There may be other people who you can have a more superficial relationship with, but you're not going to go emotionally deep with, for example. Which brings us perfectly into number 9, which is know your boundaries and enforce them. It is so important to develop boundaries with people, especially with people who have more of a controlling or manipulative personality, because without boundaries, your whole life will be controlled by this person. You will basically just be a puppet. So it is very important to have boundaries. And if somebody is upset by your boundaries and thrown off, just know that you are helping to actually be a role model for them, because they need boundaries in their life too, and they need to recognize that everybody should have boundaries because it is very healthy. Like I was saying, your boundaries could be something as small as you have a superficial relationship with a coworker, and this is important to maintain your job, and you're not going to share the details that are personal to you and really open up and maybe share your energy with this person, because you know that it's not safe to. They may be a very draining person. However, it's fine to talk about the weather and, talk about things related to work. Your boundary may be emotional with this person, okay? Another boundary on the far extent is that maybe this person is so toxic in your life that you decide you don't want them in your life anymore. It's time to cut off communication, and maybe you never even want to see them again. So that is a huge boundary of just, you are no longer a part of my life. And of course, it's a spectrum. There are many things in between. So find out what boundaries you need to maintain your own peace and serenity and energy, and enforce the boundaries, okay? So that is number 9. And now we are going to get into number 10. The 10th way to deal with a personality who is quite controlling and manipulative is to, one, gain more perspective on why they are the way they are, which will help you to, feel less pressure around them in general. And number 2 is not to expect them to meet you where you are. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's unpack here. So the first thing to keep in mind is that people who operate from this place of power over to maintain control, or of inflicting fear in some way with you to maintain control, it's because they may never have been shown another way. They may have had parents or friends or colleagues or just role models in their life that always maintained power over them. And so they learned that the only way to not be taken advantage of is to be the one having the power over and to manipulate the people around them so as to maintain control. These people tend to actually be very insecure, no matter how it may seem on the outside, and they actually perceive everything in their environment as a threat, including you. So although it may seem like they're out to make your life miserable, they're actually seeing you as a threat, and they feel fear. And so they feel like the only way to call back their own power is to have power over you and to manipulate and control you. But these people are truly never actually at ease in the way that you can be through knowing your truth internally. The way that they're doing it from this power over place, they never truly feel at ease or comfortable to ever share themselves with. They have up huge walls, and they're actually very insecure and feel very threatened by the people in their life and their environment. This behavior of trying to manipulate people is actually a coping mechanism that they learned in their life, and it is a very poor one, and it is very toxic, and sometimes they don't even realize how toxic this behavior is and how it actually affects the people in their life quite negatively. And many times these people can be unconscious to just how destructive their behaviors are to their relationships. So I also want you guys to remember that although you have a higher perspective of why this person is acting this way, and you now have the tools and resources to stay in your truth and no longer be controlled by this person, it is really important that you remember that they may not be able to meet you in this place, and quite frequently, if they have this type of personality, they likely won't be able to. If you try to explain all of this to them and you try and, genuinely open up to them and say, hey, listen, I have been feeling very controlled by you. If they are truly a controlling and manipulative person, they will not have that. They will not want to meet you in your truth. And really, if you go above and beyond to try and get them to meet you in your truth, you could be being controlling towards them. So something very important to note here is don't wait for this person to see things from your point of view, because they probably won't. Respect the fact that they have their truth and that you have theirs, and be okay that your truths can be in different places. If you can't feel good, better, or grounded until this person sees things from your perspective, then recognize that this is controlling too. We must respect everyone's right to their own truth, reality, beliefs, and opinions, but it doesn't mean that we need to meet them there or that they need to meet us there. Last thing that I want you to know before we wrap up is that you are actually a role model for this person. You are a teacher for this person in their life. Although it may be unnerving for them to see you standing in your power, in your truth, and acting from a place of integrity, because it may make them feel out of control, trust that it might be the first time that they actually witness this, and that you are teaching them how to act in an honorable way. Alrighty, so those are the 10 different ways to deal with a controlling or manipulative personality and to maintain your own power from within rather than engaging in these power over dynamics. I would love to hear from you on your ways to dealing with this. So comment down down below and let me know what this video brought up for you in terms of thoughts and feelings. That way we can all empower each other. Make sure to like and comment on each other's comments. That way we can build and create a safe space and a community where we all respect each other's truths and free will. Please be sure to like this video if you found it helpful at all. Subscribe to my channel for more great content if you haven't already. I do often talk about my healing journey, my spiritual awakening, and I do weekly pick a card tarot readings as well. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!